Well, let's get to it, guys. I'll be using my Cameo machine to cut, and I'll be using the Silhouette software to do my design. I do have a little presentation to get us started with to sort of give you like the step-by-step of what we're going to do, and then we'll go into Silhouette Studio and build up our design together. Now, you can do the same type of concept whether you are using a Silhouette or any other type of digital cutter and the software that coordinates with it. So stick around as we work with the heat transfer vinyl and I show you how to make some cute t-shirts. So let me go ahead and I'll share my screen and we'll go ahead and do our presentation here. Get that going. All right. Okay, so here we go. Dream it up and cut it out. Whether you're using the portrait or the Cameo or one of the other cutters, it will all be the same process to design the group project. So today's workshop, we're going to make the fresh sauce ketchup bottle shirt. And this is to the group costume here concept is everyone goes as their favorite condiment. So you could have pickle relish, you could have mustard, mayonnaise, all your favorite condiments, syrup, whatever else you use. And you just will design a different shirt based on what the condiment is. Now you can take the same concept and roll it out through anything that has a grouping or cluster. So if you wanted to do like a Care Bear costume, everyone would have a different color shirt and have a different Care Bear shape. Or if you wanted to be a bag of M&Ms, everyone would have a different shirt and an M on their shirt, just to give you some additional ideas for costumes. So our supplies are a t-shirt, and for today's workshop, I'll be using a red t-shirt, iron-on vinyl, your heat source. I will be using the Cricut Easy Press, but you can use a home iron with heat transfer vinyl, and you can use an auto press as well. And then you'll need your digital cutter, and I'll be using the Silhouette Cameo with the Silhouette software. Now we'll be starting off with this ketchup and mustard so much pun design by Doodlebug Designs. This is our launching point for our design. And from here you can make it into any type of condiment you'd like to have just by changing your color shirt and changing the little element on the bottle. I did, since I was seeing more adult costumes, I'll show you how I removed the face and added text to the label. And then, but if you're doing like a kid's costume, you may want to keep just the cutesy little face there and not add the text. So when you add the image to the canvas from the store or the library, everything comes in grouped together. So it has this big box around all those little pieces and they come in grouped together. So what we need to do is ungroup all the images, remove the pieces that we're not going to use, and then resize it for our shirt size. If you want to remove a little piece of an element that is actually part of the shape. So the label has the little face cut out of the shape. And so what I needed to do for that was something called release compound path. And if you right click on an image, this drop down menu appears and we select the release compound path to remove the eyes and the smiley face. And then we will center all the images together, resize until you get it the appropriate size for the shirt. I have a medium-sized shirt, and when I'm working with a medium-sized shirt, I usually go between 7 and 8 inches and then size up or down from there. So if you're working with an extra large shirt, you definitely need to go bigger and probably go 10 or 12 inches depending on the size shirt you're doing as you size up, or go smaller as you size down. Since I took the face off of my image, I needed to add text. And when I added the text, I decided I wanted to curve my text. So we're going to kind of spend some time on curving text in the Silhouette Design Studio. And what we're going to do is to curve your text, you simply need to add the shape that you want the text to be on. So in this instance, I added an oval, and then you need to attach the text to the curve to get that appropriate shape. And then you can always fill in your text if you want to see, if you're going to change colors or something like that, you can fill it in using the color picker. All right, and then if you want to learn more about me, you can check out Kesley.365. So why don't we jump into, if you have any questions about those steps, please do let me know. I have already downloaded and purchased the Doodlebug design. It's 99 cents and you can use it a lot. If you didn't want to purchase that design, if you had a different shape you wanted to use, you could always upload your shape into your design studio. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen again here, and this time we're going to share right into the Silhouette Studio. So I brought in my shape here, and as you can see, everything is grouped together. So if I click on one element, I can move all of the elements together. To ungroup the pieces, I simply use my keyboard, my mouse, and I right-click on the shape, and then I'll choose Ungroup. And now what that does is you'll see a whole bunch of little boxes now. So each piece is now an individual item. I don't need the whole bottle. I just need the label. So everything that is not that ketchup label, I can just remove and delete. So I'm just going to drag my cursor around those different shapes and I'll hit delete, and that removes them right off of my canvas. Now, this little guy here, though, you can see he still has his eyes. And when I move him, those eyes and mouth stay together. This is where you need to right-click on that shape and select the Release Compound Path. Now, each of those cutout pieces will be individual pieces, and I can just come in and take each piece and delete those pieces from my shape. Now I just have my label shape as is. So my tomato here is also an individual shape, so I can move those around. I'm going to go ahead and attach these back together for a moment. So I'll select all three of my front label and we'll group those together. With those grouped together now, this will move as one piece. And what I'd like to do is center this back onto the label so I can get everything sized together rather than taking one piece and sizing one piece and then taking another piece and sizing another piece. I want to size them all together. So with them together, I'll go ahead and highlight all the layers. And I like to use the transform tool to get everything centered together. So I'll center it horizontal and vertical. And I do each one individually. You could use this little guy, and I think that does both of them. If you use the center on the paper, it will move your image to the center of your paper, like that. Now all I need to do is just grab a corner and enlarge my design however big I'd like it to be. So I'm going to go about 8 inches wide, 7.5 inches wide, somewhere between 7 and 8 inches wide. Let me grab everything again, and we'll just grab that little corner and drag this out just a little bit. Okay, so that's about 8 inches. Now I want to move my green piece here because I want to add my lettering right up here in the center. So I'm going to ungroup all these elements, and for spacing purposes, I'll go ahead and move the tomato down and grab the tomato leaf and position that where that's going to go. Now I'm ready to add my text to my label. So you can see I already have a curve on the label shape here. So I'm going to take an oval shape and add that to my canvas and mirror this curve here. So to do that, I just select my shapes and I choose my oval shape. And if you hold the shift key, it'll make it a circle, but I'd like it to be an oval shape for this one. And then I'll just move it and make sure I kind of have a good center on that curve. This always kills me. You want to just get one little piece. There we go. So I just want to make sure that I have that same curve on the top there of the green, on the bottom of the green portion. My oval is that same curve. Now to make it a little easier on myself, I'm just going to push that off the canvas. Then I'm going to add my text. And you can choose whatever font you like for your text. So we'll just come over to the right and open up our text menu here. I like this lemon milk bold font. That's just one I've downloaded over the years that I use quite a bit. And it's just a nice, easy font to use. So with that font selected, I can take, when I click on my workspace, I get my flashing font line, but I also have this circle. And what that will allow me to do is to move my font onto the oval. And now I'll be able to type in, oops, what happened there? I will be able to type in my words onto the oval and have it have that curve. So you have to have the font button selected, and we're just going to, oops. We'll just do that right there. So now I've got that right onto my oval, and I can move it around and get the curve going. Let me delete that other one so you guys can see. Now, if I just use my picker arrow here, it doesn't allow me to change my font or curve it any differently. You have to have your font selected, and then you can move it on the oval. Okay. So once I have that placed how I want it, I can select the letters and we can change the color there and then move them onto our label to make sure that that is the size you want. You can go a little bigger, you can go a little smaller, but basically we're going to place that on there to make sure that that is the size that we want. Let's just go a smidge bigger, bring that out just a little bit and position it right in the center there. Okay. Now I was going to do fresh sauce, so I need to have sauce written down. So I'll take my oval again and I'll copy that with my keyboard, Control-C and Control-V, and give myself another oval. When you're curving your text, I'm unable to do it so that it curves on, I can hit return and it curves it again. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So you just have to do two of them, two ovals and your text. So we'll kind of put that in the middle again, and I'll change that so it's black as well. Oops, didn't get all of them. Get those, and we'll make those all black. Okay, now I can bring that back over onto my space here and make sure that together, that is what I'd like my design to look like. I can bring up my tomato a little bit, or I can select both of these boxes, both of my text boxes here, and enlarge those just a little bit more if I'd like to. And then kind of get the idea if they will line up here. Okay, so that's how I'm going to have those positioned. And then I can just kind of give myself the eyeball of moving my tomato up. Again, if you want to, on your text boxes, to make sure that they're lined up with each other, you can just choose that horizontal and make sure their centers are lined up. And that's all we need to do to create the design for the ketchup bottle. Now, if you're going to do mustard or mayonnaise or pickle relish, then you would change your words and change your tomato might be a pickle, or it might be, I'm thinking about mustard, like a honey mustard. Maybe you do like a little honey pot or something like that. And then once you're ready, we're going to send it over to our machine. Now, oops, I do not need this to be cut. So that line, my oval there, we don't want to cut that oval. So let's see if I can change that to a no cut. Okay, so that oval, we're not going to cut the oval. I like to go to my layer since I'm using a lot of different layers of color. Sorry, go to the fill and you can see the different layers that you're working with. So for the black, I'm just going to use a smooth heat transfer vinyl. So I'll select the heat transfer vinyl that's smooth. For the tomato, I thought it might be kind of fun to use the flock material. So I've got some heat transfer flock for my tomato. My label, I will make that heat transfer smooth. And then for my green, we're going to do that heat transfer smooth again. So that will be smooth like that. So now you can see down here which layer I'm going to be cutting. So to start with, we'll cut our black layer first. And I just need to put down my heat transfer smooth and have my blade in there with the auto cut. And I need to mirror. Let me just make sure if I'm forgetting if I mirror here or if I mirror when I go to cut. What am I missing?
Honestly,
Okay, let's just,
you can do either way. You can flip your image around on the canvas, or you can wait till you hit the send button and mirror it.
mhm. Okay, good. Thank you. I know at first it's so funny. I use so many different machines and they're all a little bit different. Sometimes I have to remind myself which machine does what. Okay, so I'm going to stop this one. And I don't know if you can do both the overhead and the front one together. But I've got there we go. I have my mat here and some different materials. So whether you're using, whichever brand of heat transfer vinyl you're using, you're going to place it onto your mat with the material, the shiny side down. So I've got my cutting mat here, and I have my black will be the first. Is that all right? Let me just double check I've got my right color. Yeah, I'm going to cut my black first. So those will be my letters. And when I talk about the material side down, this side here, this dull side has the adhesive on it. So this is the side that will show, and it has a carrier sheet, which gives it the shine. And what that does is that will keep your pieces together. So my fresh start are a whole bunch of little pieces, and I want them to keep their placement. So we're going to keep those together. Once I've got that cut down like that, just see. Yeah. Okay, once I've got that like that, I'm ready to load my media. So when you load your media, you're just going to place it in your machine, and we're going to line it up here on the left side. And then upside down here, we're going to load in our material. So I've got my mat is loaded in, it's ready to go. And then on my desktop laptop, it just says send. So I'm going to go ahead and send it over, and I want to send mirrored. So because I didn't mirror it ahead of time, I want it to send mirrored now. And we'll mirror all the different pieces as we go. All right. So now that that's done, is it doing nice? I'm afraid I sent it to do all the layers at once, which I do not want. So we're gonna push this out. So now that I have my Okay, let me show you what happened. I'm going to share my screen again. So everything sent at one time, and that was my mistake. I got too excited, which is what happens. So over here where it says on, off, I have everything turned on. So it sent each different layer at one time. And really what I want to do now that it's cut the black layer, I just want it to cut the tomato. So I'm going to just move my tomato down to this corner so it will cut just the tomato. And I'll change out my material here. So I won't have the black on my mat. I'm going to change that out and I'm going to use a flocked material. Now the flocked material has, it's got a little bit of buzz to it. The best way I can describe it. And we're just going to cut that right on out. Put that here. Okay. And once I've got that on my mat, I can just, again, load my mat and send that over to cut. But this time it's only going to cut the tomato. It's not going to cut everything at once. So I'm going to turn that over, make sure I have the shiny side down with your dull side facing up. I'm going to put that right in. Let me see. I don't want to resume. I want to cancel that cut. Sorry. I just want to.
So
I'm touching it too many times.
So Kesley,
Yeah.
so now that your arrow is down, your arrow is highlighted, hit the arrow button down. There you
Now
go.
give me a fresh start. All right, there we go. It's difficult to see it upside down. Thank you, Felicia. So I'm going to just press this on there, make sure this is nice and stuck down. It does stick up just a little bit here. So you could always add a little bit of tape if you need to. If you've got something that's like sticking up like that, I'm just going to stick a little tape here and make sure that that stays down for me. I want that to move on me. Okay. So here we go here. We're going to load in our mat again. And I hope I have it. I'm okay upside down here. We're just going to send the red design. And we're going to send that mirrored. There we go. Okay. So I got that in a little bit of the wrong spot. I'm going to push that over and we're going to send that again. You cut it on the wrong side. That's what I get for doing it upside down. There we go. Then while that's working its way through, I'm just going to trim out my fresh start here. Okay, let's see. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? I'm going to have to turn my machine around so that I am doing it in the right spot. This is on that side. Let's push up to this upper corner here and see if that gives me a hand. Okay, let's load in our material here. One last time. Sorry, guys. Let's teach me not to do things upside down. All right, and while that, we're going to send that mirrored again. That little reminder to send your work material is always mirrored is always a helpful little tip there. There we go. Now I've got it right. Go to there. So that cut that one. We'll pull out that material. So I've got my tomato cut there. Where's my tomato? All right, Felicia, this is making fun of me today.
That's
That is
okay.
all.
I got your back.
All right, it does say, oh, I see. It's doing the green. Oh, that's weird. Okay, got the red in. One more time for our tomato. It's going to do it. I just know it. Heat transfer flocked, send. Send mirrored. It should come up in that corner if I've done it right. As my upside down self. Look at that. There we go. Yeah.
This is just one of those times to let people know that you can still make mistakes no matter how many times you do it.
It is so silly because it cut it in the wrong spot, but did not cut it in the right spot for me. And I've got it as flocked. Let's do a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more force here. If I can. Transfer flocked. All right. We'll send that mirrored. So let's try it again. Should be telling me it doesn't have media loaded. All right, guys. I think I'm going to turn my machine around. So I feel like I'm messing up because I've got it backwards on me. So I'm just going to turn this around so I can face it this way. And we'll get this cutting. So weird. All right.
So, Kes, if you don't mind me asking, what is it
Yeah.
doing?
It's not even cutting it. Like it cut it down here when I had it in the wrong spot. But now up here, it is not cutting it for me. I've got it. I'll share my screen. We'll all learn together, troubleshoot. And this is honestly why I love doing these classes because we all learn from my mistakes. So I've got the red selected as a flocked material. I have my red here. I'm going to load it in and it's got the auto blade. So it should automatically change the depth for me. That's why it does that little boop, boop. So I've got that loaded in and we're going to load that one in. Okay. I've got my media loaded. I'm ready to send it. I'm going to hit send and I'll send mirrored. And let's hope this one will do it.
So this what I would say. If for any reason it doesn't cut this time, go ahead and mirror it on your canvas and then just send it regular.
Okay, let's do that. We'll take everything and we will flip. There we go, flip it horizontal like that. Now, these two, my greens, I do want to keep my greens together, so I'm going to group those back together. And we'll put this one up here. My green up there. I don't have to worry about them cutting into each other. So we're just going to batch everything right there. Hit the send. Got everything mirrored. Don't have to worry about that anymore. And we are going to have just the red selected. And we'll send that one. And send as is. Oh, I've got it in the wrong corner. Okay, let me pull these back over to this corner here. Give me that tomato back. We're gonna send that tomato one more time. And hopefully this time I get it in the right spot. It is cutting now, Felicia. I wonder why that would make a difference there. Okay, send as is. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think it did cut it this time. Let's pull it over to the overhead mirror. I'll stop share. I mean the overhead camera, and we will see if it cut this time. See, it's cut over. It keeps cutting it over there when I have it in the wrong spot. I don't think it's cut it.
So when the place that is cutting, are you gonna layer
Uh-huh.
it on top?
Did it what?
Are you gonna layer it?
See right? No, the tomato is totally open. But
Okay.
it over here it doesn't. It did not cut it. All right, let's pause on. I'll pause on the flock material, and we're gonna go. I'll come back to our flock material because we got to have that tomato. I guess I can do it out of regular colors if we want to. I mean, regular material. But we do need our red, I'm sorry, our white background here. So we'll go ahead and put that material on, put it on our mat with the shiny side down. Okay, and then we're gonna go back to the Silhouette software. I'll share this screen again. You guys can see how we do that. Share screen right here. So again, this one, we're just doing the cream layer here as this will just be the outside layer. Now, why is that not working? Interesting.
Reload
All
your
right, go ahead. Sorry,
I
Felicia.
was saying reload your material because it was saying no material.
It's also not giving me the cut lines. See, it's not giving me
Let's
the cut
so
lines.
hit the maybe take it and put it on simple.
There we go. Not funny though. Why do you think it doesn't do it on the layers?
Sometimes it's as anyone else would do, is the simple maybe turn it on and turn it back on.
It's like we're dealing with a computer or something.
And just for those who may be wondering, yes, I have a silhouette. So I am very familiar with the design store as well as the cutting.
All right, so let's see if that one did it for me. Okay. I stopped share here so we can see if that one did it for me. Should do that corner bit. Nope. Didn't think so. All right. This is awful. I don't know what is going on.
So Kinsley, turn off your silhouette.
Yeah. Give it a fresh start.
Yes.
Okay. Because that should have, there's no reason that shouldn't have cut. Put it back on here. Okay, let's go back into Silhouette, and I will send that one over once it's connected. Okay. It's just awaiting the connection. I wonder if I'm having like internet. You know what? Let me grab the USB cord too, Felicia, because sometimes, that does help. If you
Yes.
connect directly,
Yes.
I find that sometimes you have better um, connectivity than sometimes relying on the Bluetooth.
And just a reminder, if you have any questions, definitely put that in the Q&A section, and we can definitely get those questions answered for you.
Let's go here. So it says no media loaded. So let me load my media again. Okay. And media loaded. Trying to connect. Okay, there we go.
So while Kelsey's doing that, I'm really curious, how many of you all have a silhouette or thinking about getting a silhouette?
All right. Here we go. I've got it on the. We are trying to reconnect here. I may shut down my silhouette software and see if that also helps. Let me save my work. And we were going to figure this out, guys. I do apologize that this is happening. This is not usually I'm pretty good.
So for me, anytime I've had an issue like this, I
Mm-hmm.
probably have left my laptop on for too many days without shutting completely. Um, I've just done so much that I haven't allowed any updates to happen that may need to happen. And so sometimes just that restart um, tends to kind of uh, remove the issues that may have been occurring.
Okay, let's see. Got it sent over. Right. Now let's see if that did it for me. Sounded like it was working. I can feel the groove. I can feel the groove on here now. So let's just see. It's nice and big. I'm just going to take off all the white because I can feel the cut lines right in there. There we go. Isn't it funny, Felicia, too, because I think you and I have been crafting with these machines long enough, you know, like what works one time doesn't always work the next time, or what you think was the problem with one doesn't always come back to be the problem with the other. With
Yes.
the other. But that's how you learn. So let me go ahead and I will I'll take this green material to add in our green outline. So we'll do that one again, shiny side down. And if I need to, sometimes like if I want to kind of conserve my material, I will see what size I need to have my material. So I can see that my shape is 7.5 by 8.5 inches. So to cut this, I might do like cut this down to an 8 by 8 inch size. But for today, I'm just going to go ahead and put the whole roll onto my cutter. And I have my material set for, interesting, it's set for cardstock plain. I wonder if that's how my white one was set for. I didn't change my material. You know what? I'm going to leave that material as set as cardstock plain, and we're going to give this a shot here. So let's send that on over. And that's the fun thing too, like, not, I don't know that that's a fun thing, but you kind of have to test out your materials if you're using something new or something different, and make sure that you have the right settings for that material. So it seems to me that cardstock setting cut my vinyl, so we'll see if it works again. It didn't cut it too deep, so it didn't cut through the plastic. And I'm just weeding out my black as that's cutting through. There we go. Let's see. That cut it right through for me again, and I'll just trim this down so that I can remove the part that I need. Now you can use your paper trimmer to trim it smoothly if you'd like to. You can also just use your scissors, cut it ahead of time. I don't want to spend the time we've already lost on cutting that out smoothly. So we're just gonna do the rough cut here. And then let's grab that flock material and see if we can't get a nice little tomato cut out of the flock material here. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this down. Just need a little bit for my tomato. Now, this material does curve a little bit on me, so I may want to, I may need to put my tape on this to just make sure it's going to stick down, because the last thing you want to have happen is have your material shift on you while it's cutting. So we want to go ahead and stick that right down. I'll just use, you can use masking tape or painter's tape and put that down. My mat does have plenty of stick to it. As you can see, my other material stuck, no problem. Sometimes just different material might curve up a little bit differently than you would expect. So we're going to grab our tomato, and he is mirrored. So we're going to go ahead and put that in and send that on over. Now this time I will change my material to be the flock. So we'll select out heat transfer flocked for this little tomato here. And we're just going to load this material in and let that do its, hopefully do its work. Now it's feeling better. And then while that's going, we can trim out our little green label here. So we're going to be layering our vinyl, our heat transfer vinyl, one color on top of another. When you do that, you just need to do a little press on the first layer and then a little bit press on the second layer, and so on and so forth. You don't need to go like do the whole time. So for heat transfer vinyl, it's usually 315 degrees for 30 seconds. So we'll do the 315 degrees, but really only enough to kind of do like a kiss heat press. So it'll just do it enough that we can remove the vinyl, because we'll be adding extra layers on top of that one layer. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. So we have our white layer, our green layer. I need my tomato, which, yay, it cut through. He's so happy now. I'm happy. We'll just peel that right off, and then you can just take off your masking tape here. And again, you can weed this out. This goes out really easily. Now, usually when if I'm layering my heat transfer vinyl and I'm not putting one color directly on top of another color, what I like to do is do the material that uses that needs the most heat first. So sometimes like your glitter vinyl might need the most heat over regular vinyl. And I'm just going to trim down this red part here so I don't transfer that over. Just trim that down just a bit like that. Okay, so my tomatoes ready. My everything's ready. I'm going to recut my fresh start because it just isn't, it's not peeling properly for me. So we're just going to trim this down, and we will use this piece to do the fresh sauce. So I'll just grab my mat. We'll put that right up here in the corner. And as you can see, my mat is, plenty sticky. My regular vinyl just sits right on there. So I'm going to go back into my design. I'll grab my fresh sauce, put that onto my canvas together. Move that out of the way. Okay. And then again, I want to switch these around so that I mirror on my canvas. So I'm just going to flip horizontal. Oops, flip vertical. That didn't do it right. What did that do? Something happened there. Okay. Let's do that. I'm going to send that over. And I'm not using heat transfer flock, so I need to change that to just a smooth heat transfer, or I could do the cardstock since that seemed to work nicely last time. And then I'll mirror this on before I send it over. Let's see. Send that over, send mirrored. So, okay, sorry. It's giving me a funny message here. I need to make sure, let me share my screen again with you guys so you can see what I'm seeing. And Felicia, maybe you tell me if I'm doing something wrong. So I have my little ovals. When I hit send, and I'm going to send it and mirror it, it tells me that some of the cut lines are overlapping the cut border. So only the part of the shape will be cut. But I want to make sure my ovals are not going to cut, which it shows to me that they're a no cut.
Yeah, that's an upgrade. So you actually could have just went ahead and sent it to cut and let it do what it's supposed to do. So you can just hit the yes.
Just
So it'll
ignore
go ahead
that.
and cut.
Okay. That's what I figured. Oh, okay, hold on. And as you can see, I just need to move my material over so that I get that. See, but look what it did, Felicia. Do you see that?
Yes. So I would have flipped it before cutting it. So hit your undo.
Yeah. Come back. Oh my goodness. Does not want to grab all of it. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Just hit your back button, your undo button.
Yeah, it just didn't seem to want to go back. There we go. Okay. So yeah, when I flipped, when I did mirror here, I'll show you what happened. Is this like a recent upgrade that I'm just, okay, so I've got it centered and I'm going to right click on it and I'll flip it vertically. Oops, sorry. I go again. This, center, flip it horizontal. See how it flips it down?
Try to do it one at a time.
Okay. Get lined up again. So we'll just pick both of these up and line them up horizontal again. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and send that on over. And we'll just send that. I'm going to actually send it. It was working with that cardstock, so I'm going to do that again. Okay, so we'll put that in. And we shall be good to go. And then we'll get the heat going. And I apologize, this has gone a little bit longer than we had anticipated. Let's get the heat press going. Mm. Okay. So I don't know if you guys saw that it stopped cutting. So let's unload it again. I'm going to go back into the software. So we'll load it up again. I have to be honest with you guys, I usually have no problems with my machine. It usually cuts for me like a dream, and everything is like it just is like butter. So something, I don't know if maybe like Felicia said, I've had it on too long or in the wrong spot or something, so that it's giving me all these weird messages. Because usually it cuts really quickly.
Today is just one of those days you have a crowd in front of you, so it decided it wanted to mess up.
Right? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll prep my shirt. So I just get my t-shirt. Now it's up to you if you want to wash your t-shirt ahead of time. If I'm making my garment for a gift or something like that, I don't tend to wash my garment beforehand because I just never know, what they have any allergies or anything like that. You do want to give it like a quick press. So you'll just give it like a 10-second press. And I fold it in half here so that I have a line, my middle line that I can work with. And I'm just going to give a little press on each side. If you're using your home iron, you want to make sure that you have no steam on your garment because you don't want to have any liquid, any, moisture in your garment as you're working on it. Now, I usually have a 2 to 3 finger rule, so I'll either go 2 to 3 fingers down from my neckline to determine where to place my first element. So my first element is going to be the background of our design here, and I just need to find the center of it. So I just kind of fold it there, and I find the center, and I go 3 fingers down. So there's my center. And then this is the part where you're just going to do like 10 seconds because really all we want to do is enough to hold that first piece down. We're going to be layering on top of it. So we need to let that first piece just sit on there without having to move it. A little bit nervous down there, didn't get it. So we'll just push that down there. Okay, so I'm just going to let that sit for a second and kind of cool. And once it's done cooling, we will be able to come back and cut it and add the other layers. Okay. And we're back to not behaving on the machine. Okay. So once that's cooled off just a bit, and it doesn't have to be super cool, but you want it to be cool enough that you can peel off your layer without disturbing any of the edges. So if it didn't, if it doesn't stick everywhere, that's okay because as we add our layers to it, you'll be adding more heat to your design. So we're just going to layer that on. Now, right at the top there, and over here on the side, I'm missing that clear piece. I don't want my, I don't want to have the heat transfer vinyl right onto my press. So I'm just going to put that down and we're going to do that again, 10 seconds. I'll probably do it in 2 portions. Do it right here, and then I'll turn it over and do it on the other side. What you don't want to do if you're using a home iron, what you don't want to do is move your element around your heat source. You don't want to slide it around because what will happen is that could shimmy your design and make your design not stick where you want it to. So we're just going to do it a little bit and then we're going to let it cool off here. And I just kind of like to get the air under there and let it cool off. I tend to be very impatient. So so sometimes that doesn't always work for me. And as you can see, I probably should have put my tomato down first, because now I've got that there. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put that on. I can cut it, hand cut it if you want. If you wanted to make it go underneath. All right, so while that's cooling, I'm just going to show you guys how easy your weeding should be on a normal day. You should just be able to grab that corner, just like we did the other pieces, and begin to weed off. So we just are going to pull that right off the design. And you just want to make sure that your letters are going to stay down where you have them. Now, the reason I let my shirt cool fully when I am layering material is you don't want to, I don't think of a better word, but I don't want to put stress on my shirt on the vinyl because it can stretch if it's warm. So you kind of want to let it cool off so that you don't stretch it with all the different layers you're going to be putting on. That makes sense. A little S here. I don't want to behave. Then you'd want to grab your weeding tool, and we're just going to pull out all these pieces here and take out our little our center pieces. And my H, something happened with my H here. It didn't cut it. I didn't cut it all the way through, which is weird, but fortunately I have another piece that I can just substitute on that H for. So I'll just grab my first cut and we'll just grab that H and put that on in its place. So this one, the cutting didn't cut it as cleanly as the second one, obviously. So if the weeding was just a little bit more challenging, so I gave myself a fresh cut to make the weeding a little bit easier. So we'll just take that H right off there, and you can just peel that right off the backing. And I'll be able to reposition that onto the other one. Now I don't use my weeding tool because usually with my weeding tool, I poke in to my material. So if I put the weeding tool on this, I would end up with a hole. When you heat things up though, your heating system mechanism tends to be very forgiving, and it fills in some of those gaps. So if you ever find that you've torn a letter or something like that, don't be surprised if when you put it down, the heat actually closes that gap. Okay, so we're very carefully going to pull this off. Now I move my hand along because again, I don't want to stretch my vinyl. So if you're doing multiple layers like this, you want to just kind of really let it cool and then move your hand on it so that you don't have any stretch. So now we've got our fresh sauce back here. Got that arch going on. And then our tomato, which I may come back with another little bit of green on top of this and finish that off. So I do get the green on top of my my flock there. Now I don't, if I'm using, I could have cut that out and done a little cut there. If I am using like a glitter material, the glitter material always is the last layer that I put on. So I don't layer regular vinyl on top of my glitter, and that's because the glitter has a little texture. Over time, like initially it's fine, it'll look cute, but over time that that little glitter can wear away. It doesn't leave for a smooth seal on your material to your shirt. So I tend not to do that. Okay, we're gonna let this cool really nicely. So just gotta let it cool, be patient. I know I'm so impatient when it comes to designs. I want to see the results right away. And the flock is kind of a fun material. Like if you were doing pickle relish and you wanted a little green pickle, or if you were doing honey mustard and you wanted a little yellow honey pot in the flocked material, it just gives it a little bit of dimension on there. Actually, that tomato looks really cute as is. So we're gonna let this cool. You know what? I'm being impatient, Felicia. I'm gonna let it cool for just a second as we're going through. Were there any questions that we didn't get to, or that you didn't have answered?
Not that I seen.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everybody for sticking with us. I do appreciate it. I hope you learned from my mistakes. Turn your machine off, turn it back on. You can always restart your software if you need to. That's always a good kind of like way to get at any of those bugs and give yourself like a little reboot. All right, so we just are going to peel that right off. And then we peel this guy off next. So cute. There we go. And as today would have it, I had my vinyl underneath that. So, but there we go. Sorry for my bite out of my tomato there. I think I would just recut that corner and reapply that. As you can see what happened, I didn't catch it. My black letter carrier sheet was underneath my flock tomato. So when I pulled it up, it tore that flock tomato there. So you can see how that kind of gave me that little boo-boo there. But I think I was just anxious to get this started and done for you guys so you guys could see the finished shirt. I think this turned out really cute. Even with the little boo-boo, I would fix that with just another piece of flocking right there and I'd be fine with it. I would go back maybe and add the tomato. Just when you're doing it at home, take the time. You don't have to rush. You're not like limited to 1 hour. So you want to take the time to make sure like everything layers the same way that you intend it to layer. So I could have put the tomato first and then the green layer next and then my letters last. All right, well, Felicia, thank you so much for all your tips and all your help today. Very excited for you guys, and I can't wait to see your costumes. If you make a group costume, do tag Learn with Michaels and Silhouette. We'd love to see what you make.